Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new world where we may actually see that lower low in the crypto space. This is, of course, an update on Litecoin, but we're starting to see us creep closer and closer to major support. This is the 1 hour chart. Major support for Litecoin specifically sits at 91.55, as you see here, and we have made a journey to as low as 94.16. However, there's not much hope right now that we have the upside set up in any chance of getting that back, mainly because we've had Chainlink within the past few hours break its major support. As I have mentioned over and over on this channel, all the cryptos follow each other. They're correlating. They correlate with one another. Until we see some major divergences of some of the coins from the others, we will take the entire sector as a whole. And you can see here with the view for Chainlink that we broke below our major support of 1143, and we're actually sitting below it at the moment. And that major support is based on the February 24th low. That is the low that we have hit in most of the coins, although coins such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ethereum Classic had their actual low on January 24th. So they have a little bit more space before they fully invalidate their upside patterns. But I fully expect to see these things falling below their supports one by one. So Litecoin is creeping ever closer, and I fully expect that we're going to follow through as we are entering what I call the pivot zone. So as of our last few updates, we had a clean 3-wave setup up, and we're looking for a 5th wave up after a 4th wave dip, and looked like we were about to make that bounce, and then we just turned back southwards. So this is what I'm calling that a 3rd wave. So we have a 5-wave pattern down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with a corrective looking bounce. And we actually made it into our support zone. We want to see at least a 38.2% retrace. And we definitely saw that in Litecoin. Some of the coins had a more shallow retrace, but this is so far following a textbook impulsive setup for the downside. So if that is the case, we are very likely in the 3rd wave down. And the 3rd wave is the strongest and most steep part of any kind of rally. So we should be breaking the support at 91.55 very shortly. I actually have an alert set up here, and I've had alerts set up for all of the cryptos, honestly, and most of them were set up within the pivot zone, which is the 0.618 to 0.764 region of a lot of these. But as I just showed earlier, Chainlink has actually broken its upside pattern. So for it, the red pattern is the official pattern, and I fully expect the rest of the cryptos to follow along. We would expect us to get down to at least $70, maybe as far down as $63, $62 on the 3rd wave alone. Expect a 4th wave bounce, and our ultimate low between $58 and $50, somewhere around there. That is the linear short-term chart. When we look at our big picture chart, those numbers do actually align with what we're seeing in this big picture. So this peach colored box here is where we would expect our correction to finish. As we've mentioned in our big picture outlook before, we didn't quite go deep enough to convince us that the correction was over, but I saw 5 waves up. This was back in February, so I was somewhat convinced that we might be over, but the red alternate bearish pattern never came off the chart. And this is why, until we saw a much bigger 5-wave rally, or at least a stronger rally into this box, the specter of that red pattern coming to fruition remained. And so far, it's looking like it is going to be our operational pattern after all. So I haven't written it down here, but by the next update, you'll probably see the red marked as primary, and the red box, peach box, whatever you want to call that, would fall ideally between the 1-to-1 ratio of this A wave to the in-progress C wave. That would be the ideal target. So about $76 is about where we would expect to fall. That would be a bit shallow by the short-term chart standards. If we look at the entire picture, if we take this entire C wave, let's say we have 3 waves down and we've had a 4th wave bounce. If we look at it that way, we'd expect to get to about the 0.61 extension. So a little deeper in the box, maybe $64. So whichever one it is, expect this to happen relatively quick. If you're looking to unload some coins, wouldn't be a terrible time to do it. Again, we're sitting at about $91, and I'm going to put that back on the chart again. So $64, that is about, was that a 30% drop, something like 50%? Can't do the math right now. It's too late at night. But that will give you an idea of how much loss you could avoid. But as I mentioned in my other updates, these pullbacks are generally short-lived. You see red candles spike down, and you have to see a very sharp reversal. And that would be especially likely because of how long this correction has been. We have a perfect A, B, C. So whatever reversal we see could be quite drastic. We saw the same thing in March of 2020 where we had a spike down all the way down to about $24, $25. And well, within a month, we were back at $51, so 2x. And by August of that year, we're back at $70. So you could see a 2 to 3x return relatively quick after we spike down. So again, it may be prudent, maybe advisable for some of you guys just to hold through this crash, especially if you bought a long time ago. If you wanted to unload some, well, that's up to you. I have actually unloaded 50% of my positions, and it just depends on your own tolerance. If you're the kind of person who's going to be monitoring very closely, you'll probably be able to get that dip down a bit lower, get a better cost average. That's what my personal plan is. If I miss it, if this thing reverses, I'll be looking for another 1-2 setup, an impulse up, and 3 waves down. Regardless, it is looking like we're going to go down a little bit. So all I'm going to advise is don't panic sell. You might want to panic buy towards the bottom. This is correlating very closely with what we're seeing in equities. I've been showing this chart on the Dow, which I'll bring up, in which we've gotten ourselves, well, actually, this isn't the right chart. Let me put it on my other chart, in which we also have 3 waves up, and the timing aligns quite closely with what we see in cryptos. We had a bottom on the 24th of February, A, B, C. I know it's marked 1, 2, 3. I haven't changed the nomenclature yet, but we have a B, and a C wave that is in progress. We have presumably finished our 4th wave bounce. That was what we saw on April 28th, later in the week, the past trading week. And well, we got the divergence. You see how the MACD stretched quite a bit at the bottom of what we're calling the 3rd wave. And well, as we drop lower, we're still seeing the MACD stretch. Wouldn't expect to stretch too much lower from here. So we should get pretty close to the bottom we saw way back in, again, February 24th. It may not get quite that low. It may get a little bit lower. We might see it grind sideways a little bit. Either way, we're seeing very close correlation between the cryptos and the equity space. So what does that mean in the next few days to weeks? Could be a BTFD opportunity. I'll be buying back into my positions. That is my plan. Once we hit our targets at the bottom, I'll be posting updates and videos. So subscribe so that you don't miss those. And I will be 100% allocated at that point. I'm also looking to buy the dip on some equities plays. I'm actually short right now. I've been for the past several days. So I'm looking at this very closely. If you're looking to hedge, you may still have a chance because Bitcoin has not fallen as quickly and as steeply. So BITO is the Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin futures. I did a video on this a few days ago. You can hedge yourself using BITO puts. So that is up to you. But if you're not experienced in using options, I would recommend against it. Best way to mitigate risk is just to reduce your position if you really are that risk averse. So there you have it. That is the update. If you enjoyed my video, don't forget to give me a like. Till next time, thank you for watching and happy trading.